There are a lot of times where you begin to question things in life. Am I a bad person? Have I properly fulfilled my purpose in life? Well, today I ask you the question, what went wrong in this horrible world? It's times like this where I wonder where that magic the Reverend Wilbert Audrey bestowed to us. I'm sure you're wondering who I am, or why I'm writing this damn thing. If you're not, then I don't care. I stopped caring about most things a long time ago. You see, before everything went to hell, this little island was a beautiful place. Sodor was always a great place for vacationers and tourists. From the beautiful green forests to that sweet salty ocean air. However, what most people came to see were our engines. You see, while most of Britain uses diesel power, we here on Sodor still use steam locomotives, and this wasn't all. Our engines were alive. Living and breathing beings, however not, I bet they wish they weren't. I was actually a driver of one of them. The number 7, and his name was Toby. We primarily worked along the Farquhar branch line, pulling an old, but kind coach named Henrietta up and down the line. At times we would also collect stone from the quarry or some goods to take down or up the branch. There were a few other engines who we worked with on the branch, and their names were Thomas, Percy, Mavis, and Daisy. They all usually got on well together. One night as we pulled into Elsbridge to drop off some workmen, we noticed James sitting in the goods shed. This was strange because normally he would have long since left with the passenger train. Greg, the station master and a longtime friend of mine, walked up and told me that James' safety valve had burst. I looked to Jake, Toby's fireman, and by the look on his face we knew where this was going in. With a long groan we buffered up to James and began pulling him down the line towards Crovan's Gate. Initially I was annoyed with the fact we had to take James to the works and the slow train across the island. However, after a while I finally took in the nighttime scenery. We hadn't pulled slow trains in months and rarely ever pulled trains during the night, and I gotta say it was refreshing to say the least. It was almost peaceful. Almost being the key word there, as Toby and James argued the whole damn time. Honestly, if you watched the TV show then came to see them in person, you'd think they're different engines. As we pulled into Crovan's Gate we quickly shunted James into the works shed, and just before we could leave the yard we were flagged down by the station master. Due to the delays, the Kipper and Express are running late, so you'll have to stay put for the night. But I want to go to my shed, Toby exclaimed irritably. We didn't put any fight, and just backed Toby into the works shed with James. As soon as he hit the buffers the two were in a full-fledged argument. We quickly jumped from the cab and left. I prayed that James would still be asleep when we left next morning. I really didn't want to deal with their shit. As I laid in the workman's hut watching the television, Jake was at fiddling with a radio. He soon managed to get it working, and it buzzed to life. The static was replaced by a voice. Just as this happened, the show I had been watching was replaced by an emergency broadcast from the BBC. The message informed us that a disease that had originated in a lab in America had grown worse. Based on calculations, the entirety of the country had been infected. Due to this, all trade and communication had been discontinued. If anyone was feeling any symptoms like headaches, vomiting, loss of consciousness, and bloodshot eyes, then you were reported to the nearest hospital. You knew this was serious when they stated the punishment for not receiving medical assistance would be jail time. I, being the idiot I was, didn't listen to it, and went to bed afterwards. I still to this day think about how much I could prepared myself if I had listened.